Good morning from Bali.
Hello, how are you, everyone?
Day 2 of Love Yourself Up, and we're going to talk about compassion today.
Yeah, um, basically, once we go through the work that we did yesterday of really sitting and being honest with ourselves and saying, okay, this is what's working, this is what's not, and I'm going to show up with full acceptance to this reality. Um, we're going to get clear on what we want now, right? Like, oh, this is it, and this is where I want to go, right? And in that journey from here to there, many times, most probably, we're gonna mess it up a couple of times. We're gonna be like, oh, this, oh, no, wrong, this, no, wrong. We're gonna continue making little mistakes or failing to show up at our highest self. And in that process, we need to show up with compassion. So it's super important because it's easy to be, oh, but like now that I know this, that I own it, and I'm being self-responsible, and I have the awareness. Why it's not like magically changing the pattern? And it doesn't work that way. It needs to be. It's gonna be a journey, and we have to show up with consistency. But for that to really work in how do you say, in a very profound way, we need to be patient, we need to be kind and gentle with ourselves, which, as I say, is like the family, the cousins of compassion. So the whole gang needs to show up in full power and be like, okay, we're gonna be here backing you up no matter what. And yeah, every time you make a little mistake, just forgive yourself and continue going with compassion every day.
This doesn't come natural to most of us. So it's a slow process, often. I think I mentioned yesterday that, we have these deep grooves that we get so used to, some scars, we get so used to doing things one way, that we have to begin to build another pathway. And it's like creating a new groove of compassion rather than the negative self-talk. It's going to take a while because we've probably got used to talking to ourselves in a certain way.
By default, we
By
tend to
default.
go,
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's like a very common human trait that we are like, oh, why am I doing this? Oh, again, I'm repeating the same pattern. Why am I attracting the same situation to my life again and again? Oh my God, I'm so silly, I'm doing that again. And that doesn't change anything. That doesn't help us in any way or form. And it's super important that we show up with compassion. And how can we change that negative self-talk to something that is going to be more supportive
Yeah.
of the process, that is going to lift us up instead of putting us down? The same way that, I don't know, if you make a mistake, if you like reach out for something and put the water, how you say, like, oh, how do you say that in English?
Spill?
Spill the water, thank you. I'm like, oh, English. I can be like, why did you do that? You're so clumsy. That's not gonna help you, or like get the water back inside the glass. That's not gonna help the situation or you or me. No one, right? But if we are like, oh, this happened, it's completely okay, like it's fine, and we just go and like clean it up together, it's all good, right? So compassion um, applies both for ourselves in this like love yourself up process, but also in our in having healthier dynamics with other people as well, especially the people that we love and are close to our hearts.
This makes me wonder. I'm reading, I think I mentioned this book yesterday, the Buddha's Brain. It's talking about how we're built in with a negativity bias. And the negativity bias is for our survival. So they talk about the negative things that happen in our life. They tend to stick to us like Velcro. Like we might have 100 wonderful things happen, or like 100 compliments from friends. And then the one thing that somebody, extra oddly towards us or whatever, that's the one we remember. We're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so they're saying that like the negativity sticks like Velcro when all of the positive can seem to be like Teflon. It just goes right off.
I like that.
And it's because at like a biological level, it's because we respond. We need to know like what berry is poisonous. We need to remember that or we're going to die. We don't need to know as much what fruit is delicious. I mean, we want to know, and it's great, but it's not going to keep us alive.
Exactly.
So this is the theory. So the things that we're made up of all of our experiences, the things that have happened in our life, There's the negative things, the positive ones. But the negative ones we highlight these things. So maybe we always go back to saying like, oh, I'm a bad person because that one time we did something, or I am this, or I am whatever it is. And they can be negative when we're not focusing as much on the positive. And it might sound a little like, oh, damn it, well, are we wired that way? Which, we may be, but once we, like we talked about yesterday, once we can accept something and know something, then we can change it. So if we know this, I'm a total nerd about all this, like science stuff, like what is going on and why? I was that annoying kid. Then I can be like, okay, this is my negativity bias. I need to look at things a different way. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's what we're doing with self-talk. I haven't thought about it in this context until you were just speaking. So maybe this being like, oh, you can't do this, or like you're bad, like don't do this. Maybe it's some way that we're trying to get ourselves to remember not to do something, but we don't have to do it that way. But if we know that we have a tendency to doing it that way,
that's juicy, yeah.
Then can't we move another way?
Yeah, because that's the thing. I feel because of what you were saying about as a human being, we just tend to pay more attention and focus to like the danger, the threats, right, in order to survive. In a way, we might be wired to learn through pain and like drama. But what if we can learn through like positivity, pleasure, joy, whatever? So I think that's super vital, that every time that you catch yourself beating yourself up or like reassuring reaffirming this like negative self-talk, like, oh, I'm so dumb, or like, oh my god, I look bad, or why did I do that, I shouldn't have said this, whatever it is. How can we interrupt that pattern with with pure presence? And I think it's just really pausing and being like, oh, I'm saying that to myself again, and that's not going to change the situation, right? That continuing in the drama.
I'm deepening the groove.
Exactly.
If you even think about it that way, like this is the groove I want to change, but by continuing to do it, I'm making it harder to change.
Exactly. So I guess the best way would be to really pause, be like, oh, I'm doing that thing again, and change it to something positive. So I like to say usually interrupt anxiety, or what was the other one? Interrupt anxiety or stress with gratitude. So, or with positivity, right? So, for example, if you catch yourself saying something negative about yourself, just pause, take a breath, and be, how can you reframe the situation to something positive? So every time that you are saying, this is like, for example, in my personal situation, I can be like, oh, I'm not organized enough. I'm always procrastinating. Wow, why I'm so like lazy or not organized? And what if I can say, oh, I haven't been prioritizing my energy and my time correctly, and now I'm gonna, like go back into my track, and let's do it, like positive, like, oh, I'm pretty sure if I put the timer for 10 minutes, I can get this done if I like focus on that. And just that change, instead of me being like, oh my God, I haven't done this, and like I'm running out of time, timeline is here, the deadline is here. It's just a different way of seeing things.
Yeah, and I think interrupting the self-talk and coming into a more compassionate way to reframe. And then going back to the book, the way that it's saying is that we're so affected by the negative stuff. We remember it so much so that we have to allow ourselves to be really affected by the positive. So
as well,
rather than just being like, there's one thing just to say like to say a gratitude very quickly, or just to say,
to really feel it and
to really feel it, and to let yourself be affected by it because you're so affected by the other stuff. So you have to actually like allow that groove to go in. So the book was talking about, instead of just being like, wow, it's a beautiful day today, and then moving on to the next thing, being like, whoa, pause.
Look at this day.
It is beautiful today.
Yeah.
It is because of this, and this. Or I noticed yesterday we were talking with a friend who had just had like a really challenging conversation, and he was like really happy that it went better than he thought it was going to go. And then he started talking about something else, and Carolina was like, hold on, let's just pause. Can we just celebrate that for a moment? Yeah. Like, we need to celebrate that. So, and I thought that was really beautiful, because it's kind of what it's saying. It's like, let yourself be affected. don't just let it go off like Teflon, because the negative stuff sticks like Velcro. So how can we make the positive stuff also stick like Velcro? Like, we need that to be a groove. Like, damn it, I did amazing.
Yeah,
like,
right.
everybody, world pause.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Amazing.
High five myself.
Or gratitude for the day or the place that we're at or whatever it is. It's like taking extra time.
Yeah.
Because, and even I always like to have that thought in my head of like, I have to lay down a path here. Like, I have to lay down a path.
Oh my God, that's a beautiful metaphor, because at the end of the day, as you were saying, this path, these tracks in our brains are so deeply ingrained that it's like every time that we want to change and go in a different direction, it's like we're, how you say, like going with like a machete through like a very thick jungle. So we have to like go full power and go like, okay, I'm going to do different this time, right? Really opening up so we can really carve this new path. Super important. And another thing that I was thinking of is that in order for us to pause and really be affected, as you were saying, by the positive thing, presence is everything.
Yeah.
We need to be really present to the moment and acknowledge ourselves and let ourselves like really, I don't know, like receiving whatever it is by ourselves and by others. So as you were saying, especially when you've been going through like a difficult time for a little while, or if you're battling something that is tricky, like an eating disorder or anxiety issue or like chronic stress, the little things needs to be celebrated as well.
Yeah.
Like the little things. So, for example, I don't know, like if you're battling smoking, okay, I'm not gonna smoke today, or I didn't smoke for 2 minutes. Yes, I did it. 2 minutes, smoke free, amazing. I'm doing so well. You know, that really pause and celebrate every little thing, because as you were saying before, it's so easy to just like really open up to the experience of the things that are not really going well, but like sticking like Velcro, like, oh my God, this is terrible. But when it's something good, we're like, oh, it's good, I'm doing well. It's like, okay, next thing, what's the next thing, what's the next thing? Instead of just pausing and celebrating every little win that we're going through that process. Yeah. And a good way to do that, to interrupt this negative self-talk many times is, we came up with the idea, the prompt for the day is to create a little mantra. So what would be your mantra? Sorry, there are many flies here, so I'm like talking like this.
This is whenever I notice that I'm negative self-talk, I'm just going to dance with my arm.
I'm going to interrupt the pattern.
You know, actually, that is a way that I've heard that it's like to interrupt the pattern with something really crazy. Like, in terms of, I was reading something and it was more, I don't know if it was talking more about trauma, but it was like whenever you start going back into this old story or this old trauma loop, like to eat a lemon or to do like a jumping jack or to like really do something big to
like
switch the pattern. So yeah, if you want to like wave your arm, I think it's a go.
I'm just changing my brain
I'm changing the brain right now. Yeah, we can get really creative with that. But yeah, so we're thinking, okay, for the prompt today is doing a mantra. So if you find yourself in going through to a certain, it could be to battle like a certain thought that keeps coming or a certain old story, like I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. And then we, enter a mantra, what we were talking about yesterday, compassion battle.
Yeah, I love that concept.
Like negative self-talk versus positive mantra. So whatever it is, like something that I've been using is I trust myself and I'm always learning. This is a mantra I've been using. I trust myself and I'm always learning, because what I was battling is a situation where I wasn't like fully being seen, and I then was doubting myself a lot. I kept doubting myself that I wasn't I guess, who I thought I was. I wasn't being seen for who I was, so then I was beginning to doubt myself, and I just kept having to be like, wait, I trust myself. Like, I know who I am. Not letting other people's perceptions change the way that I thought about myself, because it was becoming quite shaky. So I trust myself, and yeah, I make mistakes, but I'm always learning. So I just kept repeating that. I trust myself, and I'm always learning, and that really, really, that still like eases me. I still come back to that. So that's like one of my compassion battle moves. Me and one of my girlfriends, Joy. I want to have her on so y'all will meet her. We bought these rings the other day, and it's kind of like there's kind of like an arrow on it, and we're always joking that we're like we're like shooting out what love bullets or whatever it is that we need in that moment, or like boundary bullets. It's really funny. So what is one of your mantras?
My mantra lately it's been I know my truth, and I usually think these things in Spanish, so I'm gonna try to translate it. I know my truth, and I'm courageously gonna walk that path of my truth.
Yeah.
For me, it's been sort of like a similar experience of, yeah, I don't know, being questioned by the external world. Um, what's my, I don't know, in which capacity I'm going to be showing up, or what quality of person I am, what are my values, if I'm in integrity or not. And at the end of the day, especially when you're like really growing in your business or in your life, in your emotional world, it's really easy for other people to not get your journey and like judge a lot. But when you are in your truth and you feel like you are in integrity and like with like radical honesty, you just need to be like, yeah, I'm doing what's best for me. I know myself. I love myself. My values are strong, and I'm walking my path of truth. This is my truth. You don't like it, you don't get it, that's fine. So for me, that's been super important because I tend to go again. For example, like I'm not good enough. I'm not. I don't know what's best for me. Like someone else knows better what I should be doing. Like outsourcing your confidence in a way, and yeah, with that mantra of like, no, I know my truth. I know my path. I can just go back into like, okay, ninja mode.
Yeah, the second guessing.
Yeah.
So that would be maybe the pattern would be of constantly second guessing and being like, no.
Yeah.
I'm the curator of my life.
Yeah.
I know where I want to go. I know point A and point B.
Yeah, and I'm getting there.
I know how. I can read Google Maps.
Exactly. It's like the meme that I showed you yesterday that say like, my brain's like, oh, I'm not good enough, blah, 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 whatever. The brain saying like, hey, stop. I did not raise you this way.
Right.
Like, behave.
Oh, that's funny. We'll share that. That's good.
Yeah.
So, to recap, that, this is not linear whenever we're uncovering the layers. And I don't really like to use the word transform because I think that denotes that there's something bad the way that it is that we need to change. It's really just kind of unpeeling the layers to kind of get back to who we are, unpeeling the self-talk, coming back to who we are. We're creating a relationship with ourselves, as we are, and we just have some extra stuff that maybe we can set down, and in that path, it's up and down like anything, ebb and flow. So along the journey, while we're unpacking stuff and unpeeling the layers, it's a big thing, to really bring the patience and compassion and forgiveness, forgiving ourselves, like for not knowing things that we didn't know before.
Yeah.
We're learning along the way. It's just a practice, just like
And for not nailing it the first time.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I know this about myself. I know that I want to get rid of this behavior, like whatever pattern. But that knowing that doesn't equal necessarily that you're gonna nail it straight away and not gonna make the same mistake again and again. It means that you're committed to the journey, and probably you're gonna go back maybe to the pattern a little bit, like a cha-cha, like one step forward, two step back, and then you have to just continue showing up. You think so?
Yeah, indeed. And one thing that I really like is that there's this quote that I'll totally butcher right here, but it's a spiral, and it's talking about emotional relapses, which can be put into substance relapses and things like this. Definitely. That often whenever we relapse, we feel like we have to start all over because we're looking at things like a line rather than a spiral. So when you look at a spiral, it might look like you're on a completely new a completely new place, but if you have a bird's eye view, you realize that you're slowly spiraling upward. So it may look like you're in the same place that you were last month or last year. You're like, damn it, I haven't grown at all. But really, you're spiraling upwards.
Yeah.
So that compassion just kind of keeps moving, moving you up rather than, the shame or the self-talk spiraling you down. So
Yeah, I love that. That's been like super helpful for me as well. Like you feel that you're like facing the same challenge, the same challenge again and again, and you think like, am I like running in loops? Like what the hell? Like I've been working on this for like a year. Why is it not changing? But actually, you're like one little layer higher, 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 higher. But
celebrate
for that, we need to celebrate every little win, every little layer, and show up with compassion. So I think the invitation for today is to come up with a mantra that you think is going to help you anchor every time that you are in this space of not really being compassionate with your process.
Compassion battle.
Come up with a move, baby. That would be great.
So share your and a move.
I love that one.
So share your mantra, and let's inspire each other.
Yeah.
And we will see you for day 3.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, is there something else I'm supposed to be saying here?
You're doing great.
Awesome.
Celebrate each other. High five.
Celebrate each other. All right. Love yourself up.
Mwah.